Hello, I'm Darren King with Clements & Keene Insurance. Have you found yourself without health insurance, maybe because of a life-changing event such as losing a job, getting married, or maybe the birth of a new child? Traditionally, the open enrollment period is November and December, but if you've had this life-changing event anytime during the year, you can qualify to apply for health insurance. Give us a call, Clements & Keene Insurance, your health insurance specialist, 272-8019.
Oh, he touched me. Oh, he touched me. And
Welcome everybody. I'm glad to have with me Mary Beth Port, my dear friend, and we are at Jefferson Street Baptist Church, and we're going to be talking to some of the members today. Jefferson Street is turning 100 years old. How about that?
I know. That's a big accomplishment, isn't it?
Have you ever went to any other church?
No. I have been coming here since I was 2 weeks old.
Wow. So you remember that?
No. But my mother does tell a story about, she worked at the VA, and they had to alternate weekends that they had to work, and Daddy would bring me, and the ladies in the nursery would change my clothes and get my dress on right, because he would put my dress on backwards because it,
Yeah.
the guy thought that it should button in the front. So they would change my dress and, fix me up. So
Get you looking decent?
yes, Miss
Well,
Mary Hawkins was, I
wow.
think, the one that would do it. So
We were talking off camera a little while ago. The oldest member that still comes is in her 90s, and I think that's quite an accomplishment. We're going to talk more about her later.
Okay.
But that's really good to be able to still come to church in your 90s.
Yes, and she is a very special lady, too.
Yeah, that's wonderful. But so some of your early childhood memories coming here at Jefferson Street. Tell me about that.
I remember before the sanctuary was ever built, that was because it was nothing but a green lawn, that was where we played. The older kids would throw football closer to the street, and the younger kids would play closer to the educational building. And we played Red Rover and tag and all that stuff. And then I remember way back, Bible school, where we would come through the kitchen and they would give you 2 to 3 cookies and then
Yeah.
a cup of lemonade, and you'd go out the door, and but yeah, wonderful, wonderful times.
And see, kids, y'all are spoiled now, because I tell them same stories growing up at Bethlehem, because we didn't get these full meals like they do now.
No.
We got a couple of cookies and some punch or lemonade or something, and we kept moving, but we still had just as much fun.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I hate for you to pick favorites, but who's some of your favorite pastors that's been at Jefferson Street?
Well, now, that is hard to do. I would say the ones that I feel had the most impact on my life would be J.W. Wallace, and then J. Moore. Excuse me. J.W., I was a youth when J.W. was pastor here, and J.W. was pastor, Kenny Thompson was youth minister, Phil Warren was doing some of the music at that time, and I remember just, during the summers we'd go to Norman Park for youth retreat and that kind of thing, and just having a wonderful time. Now I even remember back before that, back in the mid-'70s, my parents were on the youth committee, and we spent every Saturday down here having car washes to raise money for the youth choir to go on a mission trip to Hoboken, New Jersey. And that was back when Jimmy Smith was pastor and Doug Lawson was minister of music. So every Saturday.
Yeah, because you raised your own money to go on these youth trips. So you went to, I'm not going to try to say it, you just pronounced it, New Jersey,
Hoboken,
right?
New Jersey.
So how old were you when you went on that mission trip?
That was in 76, if I am thinking right. So I would have been 10, 11, yeah.
And what did you do on mission trips when you went?
Well, they did Bible schools during the day, and then they would sing at night, and So it was, and that was a true experience for most of us because we'd never been that far north, much less anywhere near New York City. Hoboken is located right across the river, and it was, at that time, there were 1 million people in 1 square mile.
Wow.
So it was, and we had never seen anything like that. So it was
And how old were you when you were saved here?
8.
8 years old. You remember who the pastor was?
Jimmy R. Smith was the pastor then. Janet Gerald, Tanya Blankenship, Tanya Nicholson now, and I, all 3 got saved at the same time and baptized at the same time.
Wow.
So
You remember what hymn they were playing?
I do not remember the hymn.
Yeah.
But I can take you to the very pew and show you where I was sitting.
I'm sure.
That was in
Yeah.
the chapel. Now, I grew up in both the chapel and in the sanctuary, but I guess I just love the chapel.
Mm-hmm.
That's just, I think that's where I feel the closest, and
Yeah.
it's, so,
It's just special.
yes.
Yeah, and anybody that comes by Jefferson Street like I do, it's such a large property here, and Jefferson Street's made such an impact on this community for so many years. Turning 100 years old, that's quite an accomplishment right there.
It is.
Yeah, it's really good. And of course, we're going to be talking to Mary Beth's dad in just a little while. I'm going to have to talk to him about getting her dressed properly. But that, men can't do that anyway. So you talked about when you was little. You talked about being saved, and I know those are great memories. What's one of your fondest memories that you've had at Jefferson Street?
Oh, I couldn't tell you the fondest. There's
Yeah, rattle them off. Come on.
When I got saved, of course, and then when my daughter got saved, and Jay was pastor then and baptized her. That's, of course, going to be my most fondest.
Oh, absolutely.
I've had friends get married here. I've had people very dear to my heart. Whose funerals were here. So,
That's right.
Some of my most joyous times and some of my saddest times I have experienced here.
That's right. Well, that's what happens at a church, isn't it? That's what happens at a church, and we have to treasure those moments because we're not guaranteed today. So
That is very true.
We have to treasure those moments. So, well, I appreciate you talking to me.
Thank you.
And lining up all these people. I got all kind of people to talk to, y'all. So don't go nowhere. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Portions of this program are brought to you by Fairview Park Hospital, a leader in healthcare for Dublin Lawrence and surrounding communities, providing specialty services through facilities such as our Sleep Center, Heart Center, and Women's Imaging Center.
Welcome back, everybody. I have with me Jimmy Ray White, and you have been a member here 62 years.
I've been attending here 62 years. I was enrolled in Cradle Roll, and I'm still here.
Wow, they can't run you off, can they?
No, don't look like it.
Yeah, well, don't even try, huh? Well, I just want to talk about memories of Jefferson Street because I think it's just such an accomplishment for a church to turn 100 years old. And you've been coming here over half of that time, so you've seen and you've had a lot of memories. Share with me some of those memories.
Well, over 62 years is a lot of memories.
Yeah.
I guess back in the growing up and the children and the youth, it's not like it is today. When we took a trip to Six Flags, we thought that was a tremendous trip.
Yeah.
I remember going Six Flags many times, lawn parties. The youth would have lawn parties where members would open up their houses, and we would go and one night a week during the summer, you would go to a different house and have a meal and just a time of food and fellowship.
Yeah. Just have fun.
Just have fun.
Yeah, but you're right. And I feel the same way. When I was young, going to Six Flags was a big deal.
That was a big deal.
I mean, it wasn't just that we thought it was. It was a big deal. And now probably you take kids to Six Flags, they want to go off somewhere way off, to some other country or some of these mission trips we have. But
Some other things were, I didn't ever go on a mission trip. Back when I was in the youth program, we just went on choir tours. You would get on a bus and you'd go to Florida and stop in 5 or 6 cities and stop at churches and prisons, and you would sing and have time to, you'd spend the night with families from that church, and you got to learn a little bit about them, and they learned a little bit about us.
Yeah. So you like to sing? Now, I'm not going to ask you to sing. I'm not setting you up to ask you to sing, just so. But you enjoyed it back then.
I enjoyed it back then. Actually, the minister of music we have now wanted me to sing in the choir as tenor, 10 or 12 miles away.
Y'all see why I picked him second, don't you? But do you remember when they built the new sanctuary?
I do. I was a senior in high school.
Tell me about that time in your life being here.
It was a tremendous accomplishment, you know, to watch that building being transformed and knowing that it would impact the many lives that it has impacted. They built the gym first, our activities building. I think they finished it in '75, and then they started on the sanctuary.
So tell me about your parents.
My parents attended church here. They taught Sunday school, discipleship training, and they assured that we were here every.
Yeah, they raised you in church, didn't they? Yeah, absolutely. And we could never repay our parents for doing something so good for us, to raise us in church and expose us to Jesus Christ, and for you to be saved at an early age. It just don't get no better than that. No. It just don't get no better. But before we go, because I know I could keep you here all day. You got memories. I'm telling you. I know you do. They said he didn't like to talk. See, I disagree. Because when you're talking about something you like, it's a lot easier, you know, to talk about it. And you're talking about your church that you love, and it makes it a lot easier. Before we go, share with me one more memory.
Well, it's not a memory, but it's just something I want to share. I was 12 years old when we had the 50th anniversary. I had the privilege of serving as chairman of the deacons at the 75th anniversary. And I also have the privilege of serving as chairman of the deacons at the 100th anniversary.
Wow.
And I just love the church.
Yeah.
And I just hope that God has put us here. We've been here 100 years.
Yes.
And he still has more accomplishments for us to reach.
Yes.
And I just pray that he will lead us in a revitalization program to rebuild Jefferson Street Baptist Church to be a pillar in this community again.
Yeah. And if you're watching us right now, you don't have a church. We got some great churches in this community, but listening to Mr. Jimmy Ray here, he just laid out all these reasons why you ought to be a member here at Jefferson Street Baptist Church. Wonderful people here, like you're hearing Mr. Jimmy Ray talk right now, but I know you want to echo this, obviously. If there's somebody watching us right now and don't have a church, I know y'all would love to have them with you.
Definitely. We have a tremendous pastor, Kyle Giddens.
Amen.
And if you want to hear the Word of God preached out of the Bible, that's what you'll hear, and he won't water it down.
Yeah, amen. I love to hear Kyle preach. You said a mouthful right there. He'll tell it like it is, and that's what we want. We want a pastor that will not compromise the Word of God. You know,
Amen.
We need to hear it just like it is. Well, thank you, brother, for talking to me. Y'all stay with us. We got more to come right after this.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dustin Gay. I'm a local orthopedic surgeon with Houston Clinic Orthopedics, and we'd really like to invite everybody to come out to our new office facility to take a look at it. It's a larger space with physical therapy, and we're just excited to have it, and we'd love for people to come out and visit us.
Come by and see us today at our brand new location, the Houston Clinic, Medical Drive in Dublin. Welcome back, everybody. I have with me now Miss Lynn White, Jimmy Ray's better half.
Maybe.
Well, he's already off camera, so he can't argue now. We got him out of the way. But I just love listening to these memories of any church because I don't know if you heard Mary Beth when we started. You know, when you think of a church that you went to for so long, you've seen people married that you love, you've lost loved ones, you've been to funerals in your church, you've had some good times and some bad times.
Right.
But share with me some of your memories here at Jefferson Street.
Well, my mom tells me, of course I don't remember this, that she was actually a member here when I was born. So I was a member in the cradle roll like Jim Ray was back that, I won't say how many years ago
Yeah,
that
we'll leave
was.
that alone. Yeah.
But I don't really recall that. And then I came back here when Jim Ray and I married. And it was overwhelming for me because I grew up in a small church and it was large. And it took, I now know everybody here.
Yeah.
But it took many years. But my memories, probably most of them, are with my kids. Both of my kids were born and went here the whole time. Had wonderful, wonderful youth leadership the whole time. I'm a retired school teacher, so I taught here everything, it seems like. Bible schools were amazing. We don't do this anymore, but we used to have a Bible drill competition.
Oh,
and
I love Bible drills.
I taught that, and along with Betty Ann Bixby, and both of my kids did it, and I can't tell you how valuable a tool that was, because
Amen.
both of my kids can quote today. You can't memorize scripture as an adult,
No.
but as children they did, and that stays with you.
Yes.
So that, and Betty Ann also was such a great musician, and we had amazing youth musicals for holiday season, Christmas, 4th of July, and we spent countless hours down here working on those. But they were memories that are recorded, and not only in my memory, but on video that we replay from time to time. But the most important memory, I saw both of my children baptized
Amen.
here.
Amen. How old were they?
Both of them were probably 7, 8,
Yeah.
somewhere in that age. Can't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But this is all they knew. Like that was still our social outlet. Mary Beth said they played in the street and da-da-da and all this. Well, by the time my children were here, the playground and the gym were here, so we had lots of fun.
See, your kids didn't have to play in the street like Mary Beth.
No, and we didn't walk uphill one way to school. But I was chaperone on many of those mission trips, like she talked. They were generally, even in later years, choir tours that were choir tours with mission trips. We do singing in the day, Bible study in the day, vacation Bible schools, and sing in churches lots of times at night. But those are great memories. And now I'm still teaching. I teach adults class now, which was terrifying when I started because I've taught children forever. But they're the same.
That's right. I teach Sunday school also, and it is the same. I want to go back to something you said, and it's so important in the life of a child. And I think back when you said Bible drills. Was you as hard on your kids in that Bible drill as my Bible drill teacher was?
Attention?
Salute.
Yes. But they
you're
were
right.
all great.
Yeah, and you're so right. We have a verse in our Sunday school lesson that we're supposed to memorize. I struggle as a grown-up, basically a 60-year-old person, to memorize them. But I can quote you verses that I learned when I was whatever 7, 8, 9, whatever age I was in those Bible drill classes. And you said that you can't take that away. You're going to always have those verses
right.
and take with you. And I think you realize, if you don't, I want you to know how important those times in the life of a child is.
That's right.
Those kids will never forget that.
when I started teaching the adult class, I was trying to teach them like I taught, I guess, children. And I said, we're going to memorize a verse a week. Didn't last but about 2 weeks. Nobody knew it after the first week, you're right. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can't even really remember it either. So
Yeah, it's tough.
it is hard as an adult, but you remember all those things that you wouldn't think you do, but you do.
Yeah.
You remember those verses.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be chapters sometimes,
Yeah.
small psalms, some of
Yeah.
the psalms that you'd have to memorize, but yeah.
And you taught school. What is different? You teach school and then you come teach kids at church and Sunday school. What's different about that?
From church to school? Not a whole lot in teaching them, but the background of who you're teaching. You know, being here, I knew that all the kids that I taught had great parents who supported them and taught them, reinforced all the things that we taught them here at church. But at school, that's not always true.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's the biggest difference.
Is anything, before we go, is anything that you would just like, and I think you heard me and Jimmy Ray talking, but I want you to speak to people watching us now that may not have a church.
We'd love to have people here. We cry for people to come, not just so we can have people here,
Right.
but if we have people here, that means there are more people who will come to know Christ.
Amen.
And those people will not have to worry about where they'll spend their eternity.
Yeah.
So that's what we wish for, long for, is people in our community, anywhere. There are people here who want to love you and help you know the Lord and love Him a fraction of the amount that He loves us.
Yeah, amen. That's obvious. That's obvious. The way I've been treated here. So if you don't have a church, I still want to stress to you again, come visit. Just come. You're seeing some of the members here, and this is just a small portion of the members. So these are just a few that we kind of talked into talking on television. But I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming and talking to me, because
Right.
this is so important, and I think y'all celebrating 100 years. That's a great milestone, don't you think?
It is. Long to be there one day.
Yeah.
But
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Thank you so much for talking
Thank you
with
very
me.
much.
Y'all stay with us. We'll be back right after this. From humble beginnings with a desire to serve the Dudley community, Bank of Dudley has grown to 5 locations, serving Lawrence, Twiggs, and surrounding counties. Serving our community since 1905, the Bank of Dudley is looking forward to its 2nd century of community banking. Drop in today to any of our 5 locations: Jeffersonville, Dudley, East Dublin, Veterans Boulevard, and downtown Dublin. Bank of Dudley, member FDIC, and an equal housing lender. Welcome back, everybody. I have with me now Mr. Gilbert Turner. I talked to Mary Beth right up front. She was the first one I talked to. This is her dad. And Mr. Turner, how long have you been a member here?
59 years.
59 years.
Yes, sir.
So you've seen a lot of kids grow up in this church, haven't you?
Multitudes, yes, sir.
Tell me some of those memories.
So, well, they were sweet. Seeing the children grow up and really seeing the church grow up too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's some of your fondest memories about Jefferson Street?
Well, I remember some of the pastors very fondly. Some of them were just great. I remember probably the first one that really set the church on fire was Brother George White and his wife, Naomi. He came to us in '65, and Bill Weeks and his wife Carol was also with us at that time, and the church was just all excited. It was on fire, and it was growing. And Naomi, Brother George's wife, was just super. She was an organizer. She was a doer.
Yes.
She probably worked harder than a pastor did, but and Brother Bill also did a great job with our choir and our youth with the choir, and his wife Carol also was a great worker. We had four good workers at that time, and at that time the church was just almost busting out at the seams, and Brother George was called to a church in Louisiana, Mississippi, and then we got Brother Jimmy Smith. Jimmy Smith at that time kept the fire going, and we went through a major building program. The building program, it's rather amazing as you look at it today. We started a building program. We didn't budget all of it. We budgeted approximately $650,000 at that time. And we ran over, and we raised probably another $100,000 to care for some of the things that was left out and overruns and so forth. And it was a great time. I remember very fondly Brother J.W. Wallace. Brother J.W. came to our church. He was about as green as that green board there. And he read his sermons when he first came. But he grew, and he was one that mixed well with the congregation. And he was a great shepherd pastor for us and when he left. Brother Verlin Griner was an interim pastor with us also. And I love Brother Verlin. Brother Verlin could sit down and talk with anyone, and he could put out a fire in the church with ease and with no hard feelings and so forth, and was an outstanding pastor. We tried to call him as a pastor, but he wanted to be the interim pastor. As a matter of fact, he started a program called an intentional interim pastorate. And he stayed with us probably 4 or 5 years. And I loved he and his wife, Miss Mary, very much. Also, Jay Moore was wonderful for us. He and his wife Lamara and his daughter Jessie came, and they were very, very good with our congregation, and thoroughly enjoyed them. And as I say, our church grew tremendously with some of these pastors, and I was quite proud of them.
What would you say to someone watching us now? Why should they come and be a part of Jefferson Street?
Well, if they want to meet the Lord and have a worship experience, this would be the place to come. We feel that we're meeting that program, and we care for the lost of the world. Want them to meet their Savior instead of Satan. So we want them to come to Jefferson Street.
Y'all have a lot of different services during the week. What's your favorite service?
Well, of course, the favorite service for me now, I've always loved Sunday school.
Yeah.
I taught Sunday school for 52 years, and I've always loved Sunday school because we're a discussion type group, and we thoroughly enjoy that. But you'll have to say the worship service would be your favorite portion.
Yeah, but Sunday school, you're right. That's that time where you can be more intimate.
Yes,
and have more discussions, and instead of a one way. And worship's important, we know that. But Sunday school is a time where I know you'd want to invite people to come be a part of Sunday school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
Thank you so much. Y'all stay with us. We got more to come right after this.
Shopping for SUVs? Dublin Chevrolet will save you money.
Drive the new 2020 Chevy Traverse for as low as $31,599.
Call, click, or come see us. Dublin Chevrolet, the only dealer you will ever need.
Welcome back, everybody. I have with me now Ted and Loretta Gerald. They've been members here for 50 years, and I'm gonna let Miss Loretta do all the talking. No. We've been cutting up off camera, so I had to just come back and say that. But she said she was just gonna let me and Mr. Gerald do all the talking. But we'll see about that in a minute. But I do want to go to you first, Miss Gerald. Y'all have been members here 50 years, and I know you've had some good times.
Yes.
And would you just share, before I start talking to Mr. Gerald, share some of those memories?
Well, we've been very happy at Jefferson Street, and we have 2 daughters that grew up here, that we're very proud of them and the help that people gave them while they were here and taught them in Sunday school and led them in choirs. So we're very thankful to have been at Jefferson Street.
Mm-hmm. And those of you, if you've lived here forever, you know where Jefferson Street is, but if you recently moved here, and you know, it's not the little town we all grew up in.
Right.
You know, Dublin's grown so much through the years, and we're proud of that. But if you're new to the community, Jefferson Street is on Jefferson Street, on North Jefferson Street. But and I was telling y'all a while ago, to me it's that focal point in the city. You know, Jefferson Street and First Baptist are 2 beautiful churches. It makes our downtown more beautiful to me.
Yeah.
Anytime you have churches that are like Jefferson Street. But Mr. Gerald, y'all been members here 50 years. You brought some props on the set with you, didn't you?
Yeah.
What you got? What you
Well,
got in your hand?
I'm going to tell a little bit about the history and a little bit about what's going on right now.
Okay.
But first, I want to add to what you just said, that Jefferson Street is a figure of Dublin, and everybody knows where Jefferson Street is because they drive by it.
Yes.
We just enjoy coming here because it's a place that we can worship and a place that we find our peace with the Lord.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. I love it.
I do want to tell a little bit about some of the history, but we had our first celebration 50 years ago, and I have a prompt here that shows the brochure that was used at that time.
Wow.
And it is a very nice piece of memorabilia.
And y'all were new members here then?
We came just after that.
Okay, just after that.
So
Okay.
we lack a few months being here full
well,
time.
Did you try to get him here earlier? He was dragging around, wasn't he, Miss Gerald? Yeah, you got to get him in gear, don't you?
This is another prompt that we have. It's a picture of the church as it existed in that 50-year period. And it looked just like that when we came here.
Yes.
And Jimmy Smith was a pastor. I went to school with Jimmy Smith at Brewton Parker. Well, both of us did, but we met at Brewton Parker as well. But Jimmy Smith was a boy from Toombs County, and he grew up there, but he was a Bible drill champion when he was just a youngster, about 14 years old. So state champion. But he became the pastor here, and soon after that, we came into Jefferson Street. Brother D.A. Stuckey and I co-chaired, or either was chairman or co-chairman of the youth program for 20 years. And we've raised all these other young'uns that you've interviewed.
And you've done a good job.
Well, we like that. We enjoyed being with them. I've taught Sunday school for the youth for 20 or 30 years and am now teaching adults, but got too old for the youth.
Well, I don't know about that, but go ahead.
We had a 75th year celebration as well, and but this year being the Centennial year, the 100th year, we're going to open the Cornerstone Vault and look at all the memorabilia that is there, and we're going to add some things to that.
And where's that at?
That's out on the front of the church on the corner of Jefferson Street and Columbia.
Okay. And what service will y'all be opening that?
That'll be at the 11 o'clock service on Saturday the 12th, October the 12th, at 11 o'clock. And then we're going to have lunch, so everybody is invited. You just need to get your name in the pot.
Well, you feed them, they're going to come, Mr. Gerald. Now, you know you're going to pack the house.
Exactly.
And that's a good thing.
We'll be delighted.
Yeah.
But please let us know you're coming, so we'll have enough.
Have
we're
enough
gonna
chicken.
Barbecue chicken, barbecue pork, and all the other trimmings to go with that.
Good.
Miss Gail Marshall has looked after that real well, and everything's in order. So
good.
We're proud of that.
And y'all are having, and we're going to put it on the screen here. You're looking at it right now, but you're going to have a number of services and have different pastors
That's right.
speaking. You're looking at those dates and times on the screen right now, but talk a little bit about that.
Okay, we'll be having revival services on Sunday, October the 6th, Monday the 7th, 8th, and 9th through Wednesday. And of course, our pastor, Brother Kyle Giddings, will start that off Sunday morning. We're going to have a communion service, and then Sunday night, Brother Jay Moore is going to be with us and have our first real night service for the revival.
Good.
And then we'll have Brother Dr. J.W. Wallace will be back. And I think Gilbert's already talked about him a lot. And then we'll have Dr. John Waters, who served here as interim, but Dr. Waters was also president of the Georgia Baptist Convention for 2 terms. And that he's a real blessing. And then we'll close out Wednesday night with Brother Darren Talley, who was our most recent pastor and served here about 9 years.
Yeah. Now, who put all this together? How'd y'all get
Well, we
you
have
got a good lineup there.
Now, we have a committee that the church elected last year. And I've served as the chairman, and we have 7 members on that committee. And we have each worked on different things, like Mary Beth has tried to keep us in touch with all the media part. And Ms. Gail Marshall has served well in coordinating everything with the pastor and as secretary of everything that we're doing, and keeping up with most of it, and helping me keep the records together. And Brother Gilbert has been on, and Mary Beth, of course, as I mentioned, and Ann Moore, and I should have brought that list, but I didn't.
But you got a good committee.
I got a good committee.
Yeah,
And
obviously by what y'all have done.
they've done a lot. They've done a lot of work.
Yeah,
And
it's-
we've been working on it for a year.
Yeah.
We're going to have, let me see, Brother Mike Flowers from the Southern Baptist Convention to come and be with us on Sunday, the 13th, and which is our birthday, 100th year, and he's going to be in charge of everything. Then he will present some things that we have on program, and the plaque to the church, and then he will lead in the worship service at the 11 o'clock hour as the minister of the hour. Our daughters, Janet and Marie, will be back, and they're going to lead all the music for that day.
Oh.
They're very talented, and we've enjoyed having them back, hit home several times to do musical things, but this time they're going to lead. Brother Henry has been a very big help to all that we're doing. He serves on the committee, and he's coordinated everything. And he asked that we let them have the music for Sunday morning.
Good.
And so we're looking forward to that.
And they took after their mom, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
you're a smart man. That's all I got to say. I knew you was a smart man.
Yeah.
But, well, that's wonderful. I know you're looking forward to anytime your children come back.
Yes.
And especially being part of the service.
Yeah.
Well, y'all have done a lot of work, in this past year. It took time to put all this together. And we continue to put it on the screen here for you. You're looking at it right now. But write those times down. Be a part of at least one of the services. I know a lot of you have your own church to go to, but pick one of these services and come be a part, because I know you want people in the community. I know you're not trying to take members, but at least when one of these nights when their church isn't meeting, I know you'd love to have them with you.
I want to mention particularly Saturday afternoon, late and night, from 5:30 to 8. All the returning youth. Now, these are not youth anymore. They're Mary Beth and Lynn and
They were
Jimmy
youth
Ray.
when you taught them,
They
right?
were youth when we were here. That's right. But they will have a youth program. It will be led by Dr. Kenny Thompson, who now serves as the president of the Baptist Home for the Children, Georgia Baptist
Down in Baxley.
Children's Home. He serves as chairman. He's president and CEO in Palmetto, but he served in Baxley as minister, as administrator. But He will be here, and Tommy Farr, who was a youth minister back years ago, but he's going to be back. He's no longer a youth, but he'll be with us. We're gonna have
None of us are we?
We're going to have a great time. And we invite everybody to come be with us.
It sounds like a great time. How about you, Miss Gerald? Tell me how you feel having your daughters come back. And
I'm very thankful to have them come. We've been very blessed, and the people at Jefferson Street have always supported them.
Yeah, and where do they live now?
In Macon, and Janet lives in Tennessee.
Okay.
But she comes back and forth to Macon to help Marie.
Yeah, well, hey, you know, that's good. After all these years, sisters stick together and still want to come back and sing at their church, because no matter where you go off, it's still your church. It'll always be your church.
That's home. They call it home.
Yeah. And you've heard me, Mr. Gerald, and Miss Gerald, as I've talked to each person, before we close out, inviting people to come be a part of Jefferson Street. I want you to take a minute and share with our viewers why they ought to come be a part of your church.
Well, because we have a real program of service for the Lord.
Yes.
And a program for worship. We have our early morning prayer meeting time that some of the deacons are part of, and others too. But we have something for everybody, and we just if you want to serve the Lord, this is the place to do it.
Amen. And you have a wonderful pastor right now.
Brother Kyle he's great. He's doing a good job.
I've heard him preach many times, and one thing about Brother Kyle, he's gonna preach the word.
If you want to hear the word
That's right.
and want to hear it so that you can understand it and explain it to you, he's the man. He's the man.
He's not going, as the Bible tells us in the latter days, we'll want our ears tickled.
Yeah.
He's not going to tickle your
No,
ears. So.
He pours it out just like it says.
Hey, and we need that, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
We
Really
need
do.
that,
Yeah.
and that's why we come to church.
Yeah, that's right.
We need that. So, is anything before we go? Is anything that we have not touched on that you'd like to say?
Well, Mama, you got anything?
We're very thankful for our church staff, and I want to say thank you to the secretaries, because they keep us going and keep us straight and on the right road.
Amen.
We're committee led, but we have committees that do a lot of work in the church, and in particularly the Building and Properties Committee, and they got a lot to look after.
Yes.
But they do a great job.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're with the maintenance of stuff that's old like is here, it takes a lot.
Yeah.
But they do a good job. Charles Watson is the chairman of that committee, and it just does a fantastic job. If you want to be where the people love each other and love the Lord, this is the place.
Amen. Isn't it obvious? If you've been watching the show today, you can feel the love of these people. Everybody you've heard today, first of all, loves the Lord. And if you love the Lord, you love people.
Exactly.
That's one of his greatest commandments. He tells us in his word. So, and I'm glad you thank the secretaries, because I'll say as we go out, if you take the women out of a church, you ain't gonna have much of a church, are you, Mr.
You
Gerald?
won't have it. You won't have a church.
Because they are the backbone. I've always said that. They are the backbone of any church. And,
that's right.
And the men, we just do what we told.
Yeah, we follow instructions.
That's right. Well, thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate y'all.
Thank you for having us with you. God bless you.
Absolutely. And once again, before we go, you see it right there on the screen. That's the list of the services. But if you don't have a church, folks, we invite you to come out and be a part of Jefferson Street Baptist Church. This 100-year-old church was having a birthday here in just a few weeks. So come out and be a part of not only one of the services, but come out and be a part of the flock here at Jefferson Street Baptist Church. Thank you for joining us today here on TV 35.